Hi folks, CodeTutor here and my name is Anil Deshpande. Hi folks, welcome everyone. It is time to kick off another new series on CodeTutor. And the new topic that we would be getting started with is Android testing. And if you start looking for what is under Android testing with a quick Google search, you really start seeing quite a lot of things. Let me show you what I mean. Go for Android testing, and once you click over here, you will see things like what are the fundamentals of testing, what are local tests. Then there are things like how to do a local testing, roboelectric. There is an instrumented test. There are Android X libraries, UI tests, then Espresso, which is one of the framework how to do the UI testing using Espresso. And then there are different types of libraries and tools that are available to do the testing for the various screens and sizes. But for someone who is getting started with Android testing as a developer, it becomes really confusing as to what is under your responsibility as a developer when it comes to Android testing. Do you do unit tests? Do you do integration tests? Do you do UI tests, end-to-end tests, A to B testing, and what all things are there under each of these testing categories? What is the goal of each of these testing? And in each of these testing, what you look out for, what do you test, and if you don't do these tests, what will happen? I mean, what is the missing point if you don't do these tests? Once you understand what all things come under each of these different tests, then probably the best thing is to understand these concepts first and then actually move on to writing the things that really matter to you as a developer. So let's get a conceptual overview of what all things come under testing in Android and what we should really focus as a developer. And why so? And if you are not focusing on other things, then whose responsibilities are those testing and why so? The first kind of testing probably that you will come across is unit testing. What is the purpose of unit testing? You basically want to validate the isolated functions or methods in the code. For example, any utility functions that you might have written, any business logic that you might have written, any view model logic, all those things need to be tested. And to test all those things, you basically do unit testing. So you can say that as far as what you are testing in unit testing, it is business logic, view model, and utility functions. And then what is the impact if not tested? Well, one of the first thing that you will see is there will be frequent regressions and bugs. That also means the code becomes hard to maintain and basically it leads to fragile code. And once this starts happening, it increases time and cost of the future fixes. Because if you don't know what part of the code is getting affected, then every time something changes, it becomes very difficult to keep track what part of the code is getting broken because of that. And that is the reason why to keep a tab on what is getting affected because of the change of the behavior that you are doing, writing unit tests is very, very important. Then comes integration testing. The whole idea is you want to ensure that whatever the multiple components that are there in your code, like repositories, data sources, they are functioning properly when combined. So that is why the word integration testing. So when it comes to what is being tested under integration testing, you are checking the logic of integration like repositories and data sources. And you are also interested in checking interaction between components. And when I say components, they are basically API services or use cases. Now, what happens if this is not done? Because we are talking about the integration here, what might happen is you might have written the logic, but then when you start running the code, it will start failing at the integration points between the repositories and the view model, between the repositories and the API integration. So you will discover the bugs, but it will happen very late. So late discovery of bugs in the system integration. And then because of that, it increases the complexity of debugging in later stages. And that leads to poor reliability in production environments. Then comes instrumentation testing. You might already guess what is the purpose of this particular testing, instrumentation. So you are basically testing the code with the real Android framework interactions. You are running on an actual device or emulator. And what are you testing as a part of the instrumentation testing? Android UI components. When I say components, you are testing compose, views. That is what you are basically testing as a part of the instrumentation testing. You are also testing room database interactions and then Android framework integrations because they are lifecycle aware. So whatever the lifecycle aware components are there, those you will be testing as a part of the instrumentation testing. And what happens if you don't do this particular instrumentation testing? Well, platform specific issues will get discovered late, and to avoid that you really need to do this. And then if this is not done, then it might lead to poor user experience because of UI defects. And then later this might create a situation where you will end up doing lot of manual testing. So it will increase the manual testing effort because of this. Then comes UI testing. In UI testing, you simulate user interactions and validate the UI behavior on the actual devices or emulators. And as a part of that, what is being tested is UI elements interaction. And this could be in both compose and legacy XML based UI. So that is there. And then you are also testing screen navigations. And then if your application has accessibility features, so you need to test accessibility features as well as a part of the UI testing. Now what happens if this is not done? This might lead to a situation where you have released an app without properly testing the UI navigations. And if there are issues in the application, which will be most likely if this testing is not done, then it will start seeing lot of user facing defects. And once again, that leads to poor rating on the App Store. That is just one part of it. And then later, because of this, you will end up doing lot of increased manual testing effort. And then there will be too many regressions in user flows. After UI testing comes us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.